Zing, Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey, and this is your What to Watch list for January 26th through February 2nd. I've got a lot of great stuff for you this week. I want to make sure that you go and you check out my bonus podcast episodes. Last week, I did an entire hour riff about the Beckham Peltz wedding fiasco, family dynamics, etc. You can find that on Apple Podcast and on Patreon. And of course, my Tell Me Everything series with Mary Payne Gilbert. You don't want to miss out. That's coming to a close soon. It was a limited series. And each week we would tell one another a story. So go and listen to all those episodes. There are going to be 10 episodes, and you can find that on Patreon at patreon.com/KKC. Then, of course, the Facebook group, Reality Life with KKC, you're going to find great people in there too. We are talking about the books we're reading, what we're listening to, what we're watching, etc. And of course, make sure that you're following me on social media as well. Now, this list of what to watch each week can be found at katecasey.substack.com. And you want to make sure that you're subscribed because, let me tell you, you're going to want this list every Monday when you start your week out. I don't want you to spend any more time fretting at night about what you're going to watch. And I'm going to give you so many things that you're bound to find something that you can watch with the person that you live with. Maybe you have kids at home. Maybe you're going to go on a trip and you want something to watch on a long flight. Maybe you're looking for something to watch when you've got time for yourself this weekend for the first time in a long time. I've got you covered. So katecasey.substack.com. Now, the first thing is American Idol has a new season. A lot of you watch this with your kids, but some of you just really are into music and appreciate just how long this show has been on. Now, this season, which is season 24, you've got Lionel Richie, Luke Bryan, and Carrie Underwood as the judges. Now, I'm wondering with two country-focused singers as judges, if you're going to have a huge crop of country singers, that remains to be seen. Lionel Richie, of course, has been a judge for a long time, and Carrie is replacing Katy Perry. You never know who is going to become a big star out of the show. Look at Benson Boone. Go back. That's pretty fun to go look at the clip of when he tried out for the show. And they knew he would be a big star back then. So again, American Idol, that returns this week, and it begins on January 26th. The show, obviously firmly in its legacy era, still culturally recognizable. And again, you never know. There could be a huge star that comes out of it. You are also probably going to see a lot of viral audition clips that come out around, the first 2 weeks. And they're always great fun to share as well. So American Idol season 24, January 26th. I want you to make sure that you watch The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion in part 3. Now, this is the way it goes. You got a real punch for the first one. You come straight out of the gate. They're fired up. Episode 2, there's a little bit of a lull. This one, we saw a conversation about what may or may not have happened on a plane. And then the third one is The Gunner. And that's going to be when you find out that Bronwyn and her husband, Todd, are now separated. So don't miss out on that. Final receipts, surprise revelations, attempts at redemption arcs that absolutely never land. So make sure you check that out as well. So that is on Thursday. Also, another reality show to watch, Extracted. It's season 2. It's on Fox. This is a wilderness survival competition with a social experiment twist. Contestants are isolated while loved ones secretly decide whether they can handle more. Just think about the people in your life who would be so wicked in the background, making sure that you suffered a little bit. Season 1 found an audience among viewers who like Alone and Survivor. Dare I say, emotionally manipulative endurance TV. This is right up your alley if you love that stuff. So survival shows, I think, in some ways, are replacing some of the dating shows. Like The Bachelor, people kind of got bored with the template for a long time. Some of these survival shows, I think, are really piquing people's interest. So Extracted is season 2, Fox, on January 26th. Now, this week is really strong for documentaries, projects that go beyond recap and lean hard into memory, power, trauma, fame, and who gets to tell the story. Almost all of these are field designed to spark conversation. This is not just passive viewing. These are good ones. So the first one is called Take That. It's on Netflix. It's a 3-part series, and it is a deeply personal portrait of one of Britain's most successful pop groups. and the emotional wreckage that comes with the global fame at a young age. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, I didn't really know much about this band because I grew up in the US, although I love British pop music. What I found interesting, again, is the emotional wreckage that has happened since they became stars at a young age. So I just think it's a great window into the reality of what it takes to become famous and the fallout, not just for yourself, but the people in your life, like your family afterwards. And also the psychological damage when someone tells you you're fantastic at a young age and then you move into adulthood and you feel like you can't replace that feeling anywhere. So it traces the band's 35-year arc, the meteoric rise, the implosions, the reunions, and the legacy. And you have interviews with the band members, archival material featuring Robbie Williams, who's probably the most famous of this band. He uses unseen footage, private moments, behind-the-scenes material. It's really about fame as a workplace, masculinity under pressure, and what happens when brotherhood collides with ego and survival. And I think you probably are going to watch this and think a lot about a band like One Direction and how if Harry Styles were to talk to any of these band members about his own experience, that there would be a lot of overlap. It is nostalgic. It's really about the cost of celebrity. I really like how Netflix is continuing to redefine the music doc as a prestige model. And this one reframes the boy bands as emotionally demanding institutions rather than pop fluff. And that reminded me a little bit of the Bee Gees documentary, which I just recommended again on my Instagram. By the way, follow me on Instagram because I just did a slide. If you like this, then you're going to like that. For example, I said, if you liked Stranger Things, then you should go back and watch Lost on Hulu, which my son is watching and can't get enough of it. So it's a really good tool for if you like this, then you should check this out as well. Every year I tell myself, look, you got to get better about meal planning. And every year life gets busy and it falls apart. What finally clicked for me is realizing that meals don't have to look one specific way. They just have to fit your life. That's what Marley Spoon does really well. Marley Spoon adapts with you. Some nights you cook, some nights you heat, and some nights you just do dinner done fast. They've got great options for all of this so that meals fit your schedule and not the other way around. And it still helps me eat well without overthinking it. Everything's chef designed, made with quality ingredients, and balanced enough to feel good about it. And the best part is my oldest, who is 16, is enjoying cooking, especially healthy meals. Marley Spoon gives you over 100 recipes to choose from each week, so you can have comforting classics to fresh, balanced dishes, and all made with quality ingredients. There's something for every mood. Mia made roasted salmon with Mediterranean seasonings with roasted peppers, and I love the pork with Brussels sprouts. Oh, also, Marley Spoon's prepared meals are exactly what they sound like. Convenient, delicious, and on the table in minutes. They are lifesavers when I really just don't feel like cooking. This new year, fast-track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/KateCasey for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. That's marleyspoon.com/offer/KateCasey for up to 25 free meals. Now, you remember I interviewed Amanda Knox and her husband, Christopher Robinson, last week on Friday. Now you can watch the documentary Mouth of the Wolf, Amanda Knox Returns to Italy. It's on Hulu and then Hulu on Disney Plus on January 26th. This is an intimate, dare I say, unsettling documentary following Amanda as she returns to Italy for the first time since her exoneration. Because I say that because you're on pins and needles for her. Having watched the documentaries about her life, I'm sure many of you watched the Hulu scripted series, you can only imagine walking back into the fire, the emotional fire, and then meeting up with someone who had such a huge influence on the trajectory of your life, influenced the way people looked at you, the way that you were, this image that was manufactured in the media is all because of this person and facing them. So it's directed by her husband, Christopher Robinson, and it follows her keynote appearance at the Italy Innocence Project conference. Amanda Knox has done a ton for wrongful convictions. It documents her emotional reckoning with public scrutiny, but also her private fear And then it culminates in that, as mentioned, rare face-to-face meeting with the prosecutor, Giuliano Mignini. So it's about living inside a story that the world thinks that it already understands and then reclaiming ownership or authorship, if you will, over your own life. Now, on a micro level, I feel like all of us can kind of understand that to some degree. Sure, not at the magnitude of her story, but when you reclaim authorship of your own life, it is such an empowering moment, and you get to see that unfold. And it arrives at a moment when I think true crime is being reassessed, shifting focus from spectacle to survivor-led storytelling, which, if you've been a long listener of my show, you know is really important to me, while openly grappling with ethical questions around access and authorship. It is such a good window into the afterlife of a wrongful conviction as well. So watch this, go back, make sure you listen to my interview if you have not done so already. Again, I interviewed Amanda Knox and her husband, Christopher Robinson, who directed and filmed this documentary. So it's called Mouth of the Wolf. Amanda Knox Returns to Italy, Hulu, and then Hulu on Disney Plus, January 26th. Another true crime one, The Hillside Strangler. This is on MGM Plus, January 28th. A chilling reexamination of one of Los Angeles' most infamous serial murder cases. It is surprising how many serial killers have been through the Los Angeles area. And I think that for me, it deserves a further examination of the decades of police management, like what was going on inside that would allow so many of these cases to remain unsolved and how they were handled. Chronicles the brutal crimes that terrorized Los Angeles. Centers on the investigation led by homicide detective Frank Salerno. I like this too because there is an afterlife to these cases where I think a lot of these officers, these cases stay with them every single day of their life. Many of them, they pass away not knowing the answers to a case that they may have worked decades on. It explores the shocking revelation that two men, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono, were responsible, and features the first ever on-camera interview with Bianchi. It's really about systemic failure, myth-making around evil, and the discomfort of letting perpetrators speak. This is part of MGM Plus's push toward, I think I would say, restrained true crime, less binge bait, but more reckoning, which again is why I really enjoyed the Amanda Knox documentary, shifting that focus from spectacle to survivor-led storytelling. And MGM Plus, I think, does really good documentaries. And I think that it's, again, an interesting conversation starter about ethics. So it's called The Hillside Strangler, MGM Plus, January 28th. 33 Photos from the Ghetto is on HBO on January 27th. It's a devastating historical documentary centered on 33 clandestine photographs taken during the Warsaw Ghetto uprising in 1943. This, again, if you let your middle school kids and probably your high school kids watch this with you, and I hope that this is like a conversation starter, you just maybe want to ease into the story and just prepare them. But an absolutely important conversation to have with kids right now, especially with what's going on throughout the rest of the world. The only known images from inside the ghetto not taken by German forces. Photographed secretly by a 23-year-old Polish fighter. It provides a rare civilian account of the uprising and its violent suppression. Because if you look back at World War II, a lot of the footage was taken by the Nazis. They were meticulous about their bookkeeping, and they filmed so much of it, obviously used for propaganda. But in this case, it's from the civilian perspective. And that's what I think is so important. It's really about witnessing proof and the moral weight of preserving truth. This is legacy HBO documentary work meant to endure, to educate, and to bear witness rather than a trend. And again, I think an important conversation, especially if you have kids at home. It's called 33 Photos from the Ghetto, HBO, January 27th. This one you are going to enjoy immensely, and it is the subject of my Tuesday interview with the directors. It's called Miracle, the Boys of 80. It's on Netflix, January 30th. It's the fresh retelling of the Miracle on Ice when the U.S. men's hockey team stunned the Soviet Union at the 1980 Winter Olympics. Truly one of the greatest American sports stories in history. It focuses on the youth and amateur status of the American team. It explores Cold War tension and psychological warfare through sports and highlights the emotional interior of the players, not just the win. This is really a story about underdogs, national identity, and how sports briefly unite divided cultures, especially in deeply troubling times. The 1980s were very difficult, the early 80s, specifically 1980. And this was such a momentous occasion. And then when you look back at the Lake Placid Olympics, and I mean, it is like low rent compared to what you see now on television. It's a fascinating story. And again, I think Netflix continues to succeed with these sports documentaries that offer emotional clarity and a non-cynical triumph. This one is a really good one. Broad appeal, especially for nostalgia and sports audiences. I think you're going to love it. It's called Miracle, The Boys of 80, Netflix, January 30th. Your kids are going to love this as well if you have kids at home, especially ones who love sports and triumph stories. And again, listen to my episode tomorrow with the directors and you'll have even more insight into it. So those are all of the docs this week. I'm so excited for you to watch all of them. And as always, I want to make sure that you are subscribed to this podcast. Make sure that you have left a 5-star review. Join the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey. And make sure that you're subscribed at katecasey.substack.com. The bonus episodes are on Apple Podcast and on Patreon, patreon.com/Kate Casey. Follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter Threads and Blue Sky at Kate Casey. I hope that you are having a great week. I think that you're going to have a ton to watch this week, and I hope that you write me back and tell me which ones you love the most.